I usually take some time off from school this week.
Oregon Institute of Technology. And the Gray Wolves of Lourdes University. First listed are honorary coaches. For Oregon Tech, Rick Todd and John Fitzgibbon of Silver City. And for Lourdes University, Ron Jeff and Andrew Eubanks of the Dixie Stampede. And now for your starting lineups. Starting at the guard for Oregon Tech, a 6'3" junior from Auckland, New Zealand, number 15, David Clark. At the guard for Lourdes University, 5'8" junior from Coconut Creek, Florida, number 3, Remy Florina. Starting at guard for Oregon Tech, a 6' freshman from Reno, Nevada, number 22, Robert Hunter. Starting at guard for Lourdes University, 6'1" sophomore from Akron, Ohio, number 22, Evan Butler. Starting at forward for Oregon Tech, a 6'5" junior from Covington, Washington, number 33, Alex Zerba. Starting for Lourdes University, 6'3" junior from Kalamazoo, Michigan, number 33, John Wilhite. Starting for Oregon Tech, a 6'5" junior from Madras, Oregon, number 43, Scott Riddle. Starting for Lourdes University, 6'5" junior from Millard, Ohio, number 35, Corey Harvey. And starting for Oregon Tech, a 6'6" junior from Harrison, Utah, number 45, Jason Gamblin. And for Lourdes University, a 6'9" sophomore from Toledo, Ohio, number 40, Marcus Outlaw. The head coach for Oregon Tech is Dave Miles. The head coach for Lourdes University is Andre Smith. Our officials this afternoon, Kyle Smith, Rick Fields, and Mervin.
Had the right guy at the free throw line and everything worked, you know.
A very pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Mike McClure along with Scott McCauley. We welcome you inside the Al Waller Family Court, the campus of the College of the Ozarks in Point Lookout, Missouri. It is the 2012 NAIA Men's Division II National Basketball Tournament. Opening round action continues with the upcoming basketball game between the Lourdes University Gray Wolves and the number 2 seed Oregon Tech Hustlin' Owls. Lourdes, a record of 17-15, coached by Andre Smith in his second season, career mark of 29-33. This is a second-year program. Last year going 12-18. The Oregon Tech Hustlin' Owls are 29-4 on the year, coached by the legendary head coach Danny Miles in his 41st season. 938 wins, 378 losses. Oregon Tech, a two-time national champion in 2004 and 2008, a national runner-up in 1998, and a semifinal appearance in 2005. They have qualified for the national tournament a period from 1997 through 2012 every year except for 1999 and 2002. Scott, obviously this is one of the marquee programs in NAIA Division II.
Well, I mean, these are also one of the programs that you expect every year they show up. They're going to stay 3 or 4, sometimes 5 days. As you probably already mentioned, they won one of only 2 teams to win 2 national championships here at College of the Ozarks, Northwestern of Iowa being the other club that's accomplished that, at least in the years the tournament has been here. But Oregon Tech, they're just a program that knows how to win these type of games, and that's why no matter what the number is beside them, they're always dangerous.
Starters for Lourdes. You heard the public address announcer Charlie Pentecost give the starters. Florima, Butler, Wilhite, Harvey, Outlaw. For the Hustlin' Owls, Clark, Hunter, Zerbach, Riddle, and Gamblin. In the white jerseys, shooting at basket left, it's the Lourdes Gray Wolves from Sylvania, Ohio, in their first ever national tournament appearance, and just a second-year program out of the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference. The tournament runner-up lost to the number 1 seed Davenport 52-42. A drive inside and an offensive foul called on Remy Florima.
Yeah, the Lourdes story is just remarkable. As you know, we do locally here, we look at all the teams that come in to do salutes for them as they come through the tournament. And when I looked at Lourdes University and saw they'd only been in existence for 2 years, of course, no one beats Northwood being here in the first year of their existence with Riley Massimino pulled that one off, but Lourdes getting here in a very tough conference. Wolverine Hoosier, and the big win in that run of victory at defending national champion Cornerstone.
The Hustlin' Owls shooting at basket right in the Navy jerseys. At the top of the circle, it's Scotty Riddle. Great story on Riddle that we'll talk about. Here's a straight on three by Bobby Hunter. The first team all-conference player of the year, newcomer of the year, misses the three and the rebound to the Gray Wolves. Remy Flurima, 5'8" junior out of Coconut Creek, Florida, averages 6 per game. Gives it up on the left wing to Elvin Butler. Butler guarded by Gamblin. Picks up his dribble, bounces it over to Flurima. No score, we've played just over a minute. Left wing, John Wilhite, down on the baseline, Outlaw. Shot clock at 9, shot off the glass is good by Corey Harvey. Harvey, a 6'5" junior from Hilliard, Ohio, averaging 12 points and 7 rebounds, gives the Gray Wolves the 2-0 lead. At the other end for the Hustlin' Owls, high post Gamblin. A backdoor feed on the baseline to Clark. On top to Riddle, his 3-ball up and in. Scotty Riddle with his 23rd 3 of the year. In 1997 and 98, he played at Clackamas Community College. He's married with 3 children, ages 8, 6, and 4. Not your typical youngster playing college basketball.
No, I think he's a little too old to be called Scotty, probably. From a Scott myself.
I was going to say, that's one that would know.
Yeah.
3-2 lead for the Hustlin' Owls. We've played 2 minutes. Back beyond the three-point arc, Butler inside to Harvey. Shot no good, but a whistle and a foul. Kyle Smith, Rick Fields, Merlin Nice, our officiating crew today. Foul will go on Jason Gamblin, his first. And team foul number 1 on Oregon Tech. To the free throw line for the Gray Wolves, it's Corey Harvey. An 81% foul shooter on the season, 109 for 134. Leads his team in both free throws made and free throws attempted. His first one no good. Lourdes will get to the line about 20 times per game, make about 14 of those. As a team, they shoot 71%. Harvey with one more. He missed them both. And rebounded by Bobby Hunter. Looking forward to watching Bobby Hunter play in this tournament. First team all-conference, player of the year, newcomer of the year as well. Here's a shot by Jason Gamblin up and in. Gamblin, a 56% shooter from the floor, averaging 11 per game. And after the first basket by the Gray Wolves, Oregon Tech with 5 unanswered to take a 5-2 lead. 17.5 minutes to go in the first half. There's a turnover, pass that Marcus Outlaw can't reach, goes out of bounds. Winner of this game will play tomorrow at 1:45 p.m. in the afternoon. They will play either Warner, Florida, or Indiana East. Here is Jake Dupree in for the Gray Wolves to replace Remy Flurima. 17:23 to go in the first half. Oregon Tech a 5-2 lead in possession of the basketball in front court. Here's Hunter with the leaner inside, too strong. Nice rebound by Marcus Outlaw, who averages 4 rebounds per game. Outlaw from Toledo, Ohio, a transfer from Owens Community College. Right wing, Elvin Butler. Down in the low post, Outlaw. Spin move, shot up, no good. Offensive rebound, Harvey tries to get it, he will save it. Back out to Dupree. Right lane drive, right baseline, Wilhite for the triple. And the ball out of bounds, it will go to Oregon Tech. Back in for Oregon Tech, or in for Oregon Tech for the first time, it's Kyle Gomez. Did not start today, but is a first-team all-conference performer out of the Cascade Collegiate Conference.
The Cascade Conference, not only a good conference, but a team that conference once again sent 4 teams here. Eastern Oregon's the only team that has not played yet. The other 2 teams, Warner Pacific and Northwest, already through to the second round.
Top of the circle, Gamblin. Bounce pass, David Clark, was a red shirt last year. Clark with a tough turnaround jumper. And rebound, save back in bounds to Gamblin. Stripped of the basketball. Dupree got a hand in there, and it's recovered by the Gray Wolves. Outlet to Outlaw, and his layup good. Outlaw, a team-high 60% shooter from the field this year. Hustlin' Owls up 5-4. Here's a jumper for Gomez. And a battle for the rebound. Kyle Smith with a foul call down low.
Yeah, Mike, this Lourdes program, as Oregon Tech's going to take a timeout here. Danny Miles is going to take a timeout with 16:01 to go here in the first half. Oregon Tech right now with a 5-4 lead over Lourdes. You know, this is a ball club in Lourdes that, you know, yeah, they come in as really one of the last, you know, seeds in this tournament, obviously playing Oregon Tech. But this is a team that's been playing some pretty good basketball of late. Their only loss here recently, as they went through the conference tournament, is they lost to Davenport, who is one of the top 3 seeds in this tournament. So, you know, they played these caliber of teams. No Cornerstone's in that conference as well. Indiana Tech also in this tournament from the Wolverine Hoosiers. So this is a squad that's certainly played some tough teams and has got a lot of experience second half of the year. So I don't think it's one that Oregon Tech could certainly look past.
Resilient might be a word that you could use for Lourdes University. Looked at 2 matchups this year versus Aquinas out of Michigan, November 30th at Aquinas. Aquinas wins 86-56. They win by 30. But the return match in Sylvania, Ohio, it's Lourdes defeating Aquinas 46-45.
Wow.
So you lose by 30 on the road and win by 1 at home.
That's still 1-1 on the record book.
It is. At the high post, it's Harvey. And again, the pass a little too strong, just beyond the reach of Outlaw, out of bounds.
I think Outlaw, he kind of got tangled up with one of the Oregon Tech defenders and was a little late getting a jump on that, and that's what caused the pass to be incomplete and go back to Oregon Tech.
Oregon Tech up 5-4, 15.5 minutes to go here in the first half. Straight on 3 for Gamblin. Buries it. So the Owls have hit 3 field goals, 2 of them 3-pointers, one by Gamblin, one by Riddle, and the other 2-pointer was by Gamblin. So he has 5, Riddle with 3. That's the 8 for the Hustlin' Owls. A drive, layup missed by Butler. Rebound tipped up and in by Marcus Outlaw. 2-point lead in the ball for Oregon Tech. 8-6. We've played 5 minutes. Top of the circle, Gomez. Oregon Tech working it off on the offensive side. Bobby Hunter put it up too strong. Rebound to the Gray Wolves. Butler kicks it on the wing to Dupree. And Oregon Tech quickly back in their man-to-man. Right wing, John Wilhite, 6'3" senior from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Again, a transfer from Owens Community College, as is Marcus Outlaw. Having trouble hanging on to the ball. Butler's pass on the far side. Shot clock at 5, going to have to create a shot. At 2, they put one in the air. Butler left it short and rebounded by Gamblin.
Good defensive stand by Oregon Tech that time. Even though Lourdes got a shot off, they made him take the entire shot clock to get even a good look at the basket.
Still an 8-6 lead for Oregon Tech. We've played almost 6 minutes. 3 ball in the air for Sentman. Bounces out. Rebound chased down by Wilhite, and timeout here taken by Lourdes University with subs coming in for both teams. Kenny Smith, 6'5" junior, in for Lourdes. Cassed Desimore, a 6'4" junior from Haiti by way of West Virginia State University, also in for the Gray Wolves.
You know, Mike, I'm sure you had a chance to tell him about some of the boring basketball we've had here over the last few days. He said very sarcastically, as we have had some fabulous games in this national tournament, including 2 good games today already in the books. Bellevue, the number 7 seed in the early game, beat Damon 58-48, a score that's very deceptive because Damon led almost the entire ball game. They led almost the entire first half and led a good portion of the second half, at least the first part of the second half. Bellevue was finally able to grab a lead and just kind of pull away, and then just a dandy finish a few minutes before this one. That's why we're not almost at halftime in this game, but we're still early in the ball game here, as St. Francis over Jamestown 64-63, as St. Francis pulled one out of the old playbook I haven't seen in forever, and it worked, and we'll explain that a little bit later when we have some time. But St. Francis pulling one out by going back to the old Hall of Fame coaching tricks to make it happen.
The old charging foul off an inbounds pass late in the game. Here's Kenny Smith for the Gray Wolves. Penetrates the lane, high off the glass, no good. Rebounded by Josh Johnson, who just checked in, 6'7" freshman from Perth, Australia. Ball fake by Gomez. On top, Hunter. Swing pass on the right side. Jordan Kiley now in, a 6'2" junior from Lakeview, Oregon. 13-18 to go in the first half. Oregon Tech up by 2, 8-6. Baseline drive, Gomez. Cut off by Desimore. Shot clock at 12. Deep 3, right wing. Short for Gomez, and foul on the rebound. Oregon Tech, their 14th appearance in the national tournament, 28 tournament wins, 11 losses. They've got a first-round record in this tournament of 13-0.
Yeah, they usually play pretty well here.
They had won 63 in a row at home until December 29th of 2011. They lost to Warner Pacific 85-75 on Danny Miles' court, by the way. We've played 7 minutes. Here's a whistle, traveling violation on John Wilhite.
You know, Danny Miles has been at it so long, and of course, as you mentioned, the only year they missed the national tournament was 2001, and they ended up, since it's been here at Point Lookout, and you know, the thing about them is that they've been here so many times and had so much success, and you just like the way their teams play that, you know, quite frankly, you got a lot of fans here at Point Lookout that just respect the Oregon Tech program for what it does, how it plays, and here's look at the stands over there. I mean, they're one of our best drawing teams, and they come from one of the farthest places away in the country.
Takeaway by the Gray Wolves. Harvey down low to Florima for the bucket to tie it at 8. At the other end, Hunter drives. Foul apparently on the floor before the shot. Going to go against the Gray Wolves. Elvin Butler with his first personal.
You know, we talked about sometimes some of the best games in this tournament are the games that no one ever sees because they happen late at night. As we certainly had one of those last night, but Oregon Tech was in one of those games several years ago. We'll talk a little bit about later on.
Right baseline, Sentman, the leaner short, rebounded Cassette Desimore. Bryant Sentman, who just missed that bucket. How about the 2011 NAIA decathlon title? I mean, talk about your multi-sport athlete.
Yeah, at one time.
Yeah, 10 of them at one time. Shot missed from the baseline by Florima. And Bobby Hunter leads the break the other way. Flies around Kenny Smith. Bounce pass to Jordan Kiley. 6 subs getting set to check in at the scorers table, 3 for each club. High post Kiley, right wing Hunter. Comes off a screen set by Gomez. Aggressive move to the basket for his first 2. 6-foot freshman from Reno, Nevada. 51% shooter from the field. He averages 20 points per game. (10-8), Oregon Tech by 2. Here's Smith for the lead from 3, won't go, and rebounded by Kyle Gomez. Also on the track team, he throws the javelin. Deep 3, Hunter. Bounces out. Oh, they almost mishandled the rebound, but Corey Harvey able to grab it.
Tell you what, speaking of some athletes, there's a little bit of build on this Lourdes athlete on this squad too. I mean, some of the bigs for both of these ball clubs are going to be having some massive battles inside here this afternoon.
Desimore. Free throw line pass to Kenny Smith and a reaching in foul on Bobby Hunter.
And we mentioned Oregon Tech has won 2 national championships here. By the way, that number coming in now is reached 7 as Danny Miles threw a new one in there. So be a lot of new players coming into the ball game right now.
I better say who's on the bench. It might be faster.
Here's who's not in the game right now.
Wow.
do process. I never thought of that one. That'd be good. Do process of elimination.
Let's try to get them all here. Gomez and Clark in for Oregon Tech. Gamblin back in. Here's a turnaround jumper by Smith. Won't go. Rebounded by Jason Gamblin. Riddle as well back in. Fred Korpening. 3-ball Gomez short. Well, both teams struggling from the field early. Oregon Tech at 31%, 4 for 13. Lourdes at 36%, just 4 for 11. Left wing, Dupree. Top of the circle, Butler. We played exactly 10 minutes, a 10-8 lead for the Hustlin' Owls. Drive inside by Butler, a whistle and a foul.
You know, we mentioned Oregon Tech has won a couple of national championships here, and we mentioned some of the games that a lot of people never saw. One of the better games in this tournament, and Bobby Thompson, who's calling the game for Oregon Tech just 2 feet to my right here on their network, remembers that game vividly. They played a late night game, opening night against Dominican. Just a terrific ball game, went back and forth, and Oregon Tech I can even still see the shot right now. In the deep corner, hits a three at the buzzer to beat Dominican from California, and that was the first win on their way to the first of 2 national championships. And that shot doesn't go down. They're out of the first round, and they just barely got by that game, and that game ended. Well, it was a Wednesday evening start. I'm not sure it finished on Wednesday evening, but it was a Wednesday evening start. I do remember that.
Yeah, you had a new definition for the late show last night.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. And last night's game fit that definition as McPherson beat Dakota State in overtime in just a terrific game, but it got done about 12:15 this morning.
Butler with 1 out of 2 from the free throw line. It's a 10-9 lead for Oregon Tech. 3 ball, right wing, won't go for Riddle. And long rebound comes down to Elvin Butler. 9.5 minutes to go in the first half. Lourdes down 10-9. Whistle travel down on the baseline.
Just credit the defense for Oregon Tech that time as they stood firm inside. And a lot of times when that happens and trying to draw the foul, you actually try to give yourself a little distance and take the extra step.
Great fans, as you talked about, for Oregon Tech. Hustling Owls work it down floor. Top of the arc, that's Fred Corpening from Brookings High School. His team went 28-0. They were state champs. Shot missed, tipped up and in inside. That's John Wilhite who got a hand in there. That was Wilhite for Lourdes on the tip in. Or, nope.
No.
Zerbach, excuse me.
Yeah.
12-9 Oregon Tech by 3. Deep 3 won't go for Dupree. And over the back foul on the rebound. Marcus Outlaw didn't have position. And Outlaw picks up his first personal. And Corey Harvey back in for the Gray Wolves, replacing Jerome Talton, who was in momentarily.
This is a pretty critical point for Lourdes right now as they trail by 3, but Oregon Tech's a team that can go on and run, so if they want to stay in this ball game, the Gray Wolves have really got to stay in touch right now and not get too far out of this, not let Oregon Tech get too far ahead of it, considering their experience in this tournament. You know, once they get a lead in the tournament, they know what to do from that point.
Here is Remy Florima back in for Lourdes, and back in for Oregon Tech, Bobby Hunter. Talk about the Oregon Tech fans showing their support of the Hustlin' Owls. They had a scrimmage last weekend. They raised $13,000 to help with their travel expenses to Branson. They raised an additional $2,000 by selling pieces of their former home floor. Danny Miles Court got a facelift at midseason with a new floor installed during the Christmas break. On the top of the arc, Bobby Hunter. Stop and go move, drives inside, shot rejected by Butler, but chased down by Jason Gamblin. Shot clock at 10. Drive by Gamblin. Dump on the baseline, still time. Now a wraparound pass stolen by Florima. 2-on-1. Bounce pass on the right side, layup missed. Tip attempt no good by Harvey. And as the break was quickly moving toward the Oregon Tech end, Bobby Hunter colliding with Florima, but Florima will be called for the block.
Yeah, just a second late getting there. He had the right idea, but the play was going so fast, just no way he could get set before the contact was made and the blocking foul was called.
Scott, a great article in the New York Times as well for Oregon Tech and their program, in particular their head coach Danny Miles.
Yeah, 41st year, and is at Oregon Tech, is staying at Oregon Tech, has been there, and it's basically his home, and the Oregon Tech is a strong fiber of that community.
Shot missed by Gamblin. Clark down low, Riddle trying to post up inside, puts it up with the left hand, off the glass and in. Tough shot for Scotty Riddle. He has 5. And Oregon Tech leading by 5. Their biggest lead of the afternoon with 7.5 minutes to go before the intermission. Jake Dupree pounds it with a right-handed dribble to John Wilhite, comes off a screen to the glass and scores. So the first 2 for Wilhite. 14-11, Hustlin' Owls 3-point lead in the balls. We near the 7-minute mark to go in the first half here at College of the Ozarks. Right wing, Bobby Hunter. On top, Riddle. Lourdes staying in their man-to-man. Hunter's pass down low, almost taken away. And officials' time. they're resetting the shot clock.
I think what they're saying is
Change of possession?
Well, no, what happened, yeah, I think what happened is when Lourdes got back there and got the ball and threw it back in bounds, and what the official's saying is that was enough for possession.
Okay.
So they reset it. So he had, even though he was falling in bounds, he had it, made a good pass.
Right.
Well, not a good pass because it went back to Oregon Tech,
Yeah.
but that was a turnover, so they were considered a new possession.
All right. Kiley, and again the line change here for the Owls. Jordan Kiley at the point. Left wing Bryant Sentman. Florima back in for Lourdes. Here's Gomez missing. Look out on the rebound as foul called. Nice play by Josh Johnson to save his teammate Bryant Sentman from hitting the floor. Sentman will pick up the personal foul, his first. Yeah, the Hustlin' Owls had that 65-game home winning streak broken the first game on their new home floor. I think they wanted to put the old one back in.
Well, I think the New York Times article stated that that's exactly what the people in Klamath Falls wanted to have happen.
Bank shot good for Kenny Smith. The only people more superstitious than basketball coaches are baseball coaches. That's a sport.
I don't even want to start with that.
No.
You can go forever. And you know, Danny Miles used to coach baseball.
Yes, he did.
Too.
Coached just about everything.
Yeah.
Here's jumper missed by Johnson. Good hustle by Gomez to save it. Kiley. Jumper by Sentman is good. First two for Sentman on an 8-point per game average. Good ball game. Oregon Tech leading 16-13 with 5:40 to go before intermission. Dupree for Lourdes. Off to Wilhite. Lob down low to Harvey. Whistle. Reaching in foul against the Hustlin' Owls. Lourdes is not fazed by any of this in their first appearance.
Well, you know, and it's interesting to notice as I look at them play, they don't play like a team that's new to this.
No.
New to the sport, you know, of college basketball as a school, as you mentioned in the open, only in their second year of existence as a basketball program. But they, you know, as I said earlier, they don't play in a conference that's, you know, easy. I mean, you're talking about the Wolverine Hoosier, who had last year's national champion and Cornerstone in it. They sent Lourdes, had 3 other teams in that conference come here, including Davenport, who a lot of people consider to be one of the favorites to possibly take the national championship this year. So they've seen good people.
Harvey with 3 points. 16-14, Owls by 2. The lead in the ball, 5:20 to go before halftime. Here's Jordan Kiley, a civil engineering major out of Lakeview, Oregon. Feet on the baseline. A high arcing three will go for Kyle Gomez. He was almost falling out of bounds when he shot the ball.
I have no idea how that one even got close to the rim, close to the basket, let alone went in. He was literally behind it, falling into the photographer's area, and somehow made it. I've heard nothing but good things about that kid, and he just proved it right there with a nice move in the outside to get Oregon Tech the 5-point lead.
His team high 66th three-point basket of the year, a 41% shooter from three-point range. Here's a blocking foul down low on the Hustlin' Owls. That's the third on Kyle Gomez. It is. Going to send Marcus Outlaw to the free throw line. Riddle and Hunter back in for the Owls, and now Danny Miles wants quick word from the official, and apparently everything all good, and going to the free throw line, it's Marcus Outlaw. And before the free throw is shot, we see Elvin Butler check in for John Wilhite.
So I guess the foul's going to be on.
They've got Gomez with 3 up on the board.
So that's what they're going with.
Outlaw at the line, 8-point per game average. Missing the front end of the 1-and-1. Lourdes 2 for 6 from the line here in the first half. And Oregon Tech has not attempted a free throw. We've played 15.5 minutes. Owls lead 19-14. Low post, Scotty Riddle backs in. Turnaround jumper with the left hand, no good. And rebounded by Corey Harvey. Outlet to Elvin Butler. Man-to-man by the Owls. Jake Dupree, right wing beyond 3, Butler. Guarded by Alex Zerbach. Dupree, near steal, and a foul. Instead, Bobby Hunter trying to strip Kenny Smith of the basketball. And Bobby Hunter will pick up his third.
And Oregon Tech now is a team with 9 fouls, so after this one, double bonus from this point on, and there's been any kink in the armor for the Hustling Owls here in the first half. In fact, they're starting to stack up some fouls.
Well, the highly decorated Bobby Hunter with 2 points and 3 fouls goes to the bench. Here is Kenny Smith at the line, 67% free throw shooter. Nobody can make a free throw for the Gray Wolves, now 2 for 7, missing the last 2 front ends of 1 and 1, and they still trail by 5, 19-14 as we're under 4 minutes to play here in the first half. Riddle, Kiley. Riddle missing the 3. Ball out of bounds to Lourdes University from Sylvania, Ohio. Here is John Wilhite back in, replacing Kenny Smith.
You know, free throw shooting has been big. That overtime game we were talking about last night, Dakota State, I don't remember what their percentage was, but it was woeful from the line last night. They probably win the game in regulation if they could even made 50% from the line. They didn't even do that well and end up losing in overtime to McPherson, who did make their free throws down the stretch when they needed.
Lob pass inside. Harvey puts it up with the left hand, scores, and is fouled. Wow, nice play inside. Had a man all over him, and Harvey able to flip it up off the window and to the line for the and one.
Again, Lourdes not going anywhere there. Not intimidated, they're not afraid. They keep taking it to the basket, and as you say, if they could just make a free throw, they'd probably be in front of the ball game.
They get one there. Harvey will complete the three-point play. So 5 has been the biggest lead. That was at 19-14. Now it's 19-17. Owls by 2 with 3:20 to go in the first half of the 2012 Men's Division II first round action of the National Basketball Tournament. Nice drive inside. David Clark, the 6'3" junior from Auckland, New Zealand, with his first 2.
Just recognizing what the defense wasn't doing, and that's covering the lane, so he makes a quick move to the basket, and Clark gets the easy layup.
Four-point lead for Oregon Tech. 2:50 to go in the first half. Nice defense by the Hustling Owls. Foul line jumper won't go for Butler. Rebound fought for. Nice save by Alex Zerbach. Clark backs it back out. Now tries the 3 and nothing but net. Timeout Lourdes. Boy, David Clark looked good. His 63rd 3 of the year.
And how fast did it go from 2 to 7? Hustling Owls, just 2 quick transition baskets, and there you go. And I think that's one of the reasons they earned their nickname Hustling Owls, is how quickly they can get up and down the court. You're not a fast break team by definition, Mike, but I think the word up-tempo, and I think there's a difference. And you hear coaches say, you know, a fast break team is the one that just goes all out, full tilt, while a transition team is one that will keep it going up-tempo, but not necessarily at all costs. You'll take up-tempo, just speed up the pace of a game, even if you're in a half-court offense.
Take a look at the first half numbers quickly for Oregon Tech. From the field, 34%, 10 for 29. Lourdes 39%, 7 for 18. Oregon Tech 4 for 13 from three-point range, 31%. And Lourdes yet to hit a 3. They're 0 for 5. Oregon Tech has not attempted a free throw. Lourdes just 3 for 9, 33%. Rebounds favor Oregon Tech, 17-15, including a 6-3 advantage on the offensive glass. So Oregon Tech's biggest lead of the game at 7. 2:26 to go here in the first half. Lourdes with the basketball, left baseline, Marcus Outlaw. Gamblin basically just leaving him alone out on the left wing. Forcing the pass inside, and with we talked about Gamblin sinking off his man, there's an easy steal.
Boy, with great anticipation that time, knowing where the ball was going to go.
So Owls can go up by 9 or 10 with a 3. Gamblin, double team, drives inside, fadeaway jumper around and in. 7 unanswered to go up by 9, 26-17 for the Hustlin' Owls. Dupree for the Gray Wolves. Entry pass down low, poked away by Kiley and stolen by David Clark. Clark, nice ball fake, sets for the 3, and yes, sir.
Mike, you're looking at a 10-0 run in about a minute 45, 2 minutes on the clock, even maybe a little bit less than that, as the Hustlin' Owls have all of a sudden made a close game starting to be a runaway, and that's forced Lourdes to use 2 timeouts in the last minute.
And they're doing this without their arguably their best player, Bobby Hunter, on the bench with foul trouble. The co-player of the year in high school in the state of Nevada last year, played for the Bishop Minogue Miners, who finished in 3rd place in their state classification. So yeah, he's got 2 points and 3 fouls. And we also mentioned that Kyle Gomez on the bench with 3 personal fouls and only 3 points. Their best 3-point shooter as far as number of threes made. But they're so deep, it doesn't really matter.
And it's been that depth that has pushed them up to a situation where Lourdes, and again, we're talking about 3 minutes to go on the clock, and Lourdes is very much where they want to be. Now Lourdes is very much where they don't want to be, and that's down 12 and trying to fight back.
The leaner for Wilhite deflected out of bounds off the hands of Zerbach. It'll stay in the hands of the Gray Wolves. Jake Dupree will trigger it in. Finds Corey Harvey on top to Butler. Left wing Dupree, down on the baseline, Outlaw, backs in on Gamblin, puts it up and scores. Nice drop step by Outlaw to get around his man.
Boy, a basket they needed too to try to kind of right the ship a little bit here in the final 45 seconds of the first half.
After the 10-0 run, now here's a takeaway for Lourdes. Look out on the far baseline. Harvey having trouble hanging on to the ball. Does find John Wilhite. 30 seconds to go in the first half. 4-second differential between game clock and shot clock. Corey Harvey will hold it up at the point. Jake Dupree looks back at head coach Andre Smith in his 2nd season, former assistant coach at Youngstown State, a Division I school. He's coached professionally in Europe, as well as other college stops. Jump stop, nice move. The shot for Butler will count as he beat the shot clock. That's the first buzzer you heard. Everybody kind of stopped because they thought that was the buzzer to end the half, but it wasn't.
Including me. I had looked up and all of a sudden saw what was going on there. But what was important for Lourdes is after getting down by their biggest margin, they end the half on a 4-0 run. It ended up closing the gap to 8 at halftime as Oregon Tech has a 29-21 lead over Lourdes University.
Let's take a look at the first half numbers for the Hustlin' Owls. They were led by David Clark with 8 points, Jason Gamblin with 7, 5 for Scotty Riddle, 3 points for Kyle Gomez, Bobby Hunter with 2, Bryant Sentman with 2, and Alex Zerbach with 2 points. For the Lourdes University Gray Wolves in the first half, 6 points apiece for Marcus Outlaw and Corey Harvey, 3 points for Elvin Butler, 2 for John Wilhite, 2 for Kenny Smith, and 2 for Remy Florima. In foul difficulty for Oregon Tech, Kyle Gomez with 3, Bobby Hunter with 3 personal fouls, and the only player with 2 fouls for Lourdes is Remy Florima. From the field in the first half, Oregon Tech 37.5%, 12 for 32. Lourdes University 43% on 9 for 21. Big difference in 3-point baskets. Oregon Tech 5 for 14, 36%. Lourdes 0 for 5. And from the foul line, Oregon Tech has not attempted a free throw. Lourdes has gone to the line 9 times, but have made only 3. Rebounding numbers favor Oregon Tech by 1, 17-16. And turnovers, Oregon Tech turns it over only 3 times. Lourdes turned it over 8 times in the first 20 minutes. We're at halftime of this first round matchup. Number 2 seed Oregon Tech leading Lourdes University at the break, 29-21. We'll have second half action in approximately 9 minutes here on NAIA.org. All right, I just didn't think it went very good. Maybe they needed to bring a fresh one out.
If you ever get this team, it's Indiana University East, not Indiana East University. It says IUE.
What do you got at CBC tonight? What do you got at CBC tonight?
6 and 8 o'clock. Winter games. Valley Forge and Clearwater Christian.
That sounds like a new school.
CBC and Florida Christian.
What's CBC's record? They're not very good.
They're 8 and 23 now, and they beat the 5 seed the other day.
Oh, Hanson, yeah, come on into my house. I'll host a tournament. I'm not very good this year.
I can think our 2012 corporate sponsor is Big Cedar, Dixie Stampede, Highland area. Ozarks Coca-Cola Dr. Pepper against the Exo. One of their major sponsors.
And are you there all day tomorrow?
City Racing and Track.
Well, we appreciate it.
Major sponsors.
What do you got on Saturday?
4 and 6. Might get some help somewhere along the line, might not. Rob won't be back with the Lady Bears win tomorrow night. Freebie's got umpiring, but it might get rained out.
Yeah, I had to miss Rip Rip for lunch today. I ate turkey slices and some ham, chips, and a brownie. Called it good. Don said he had the pot by it, wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's not much. I ain't the pop guy. Hasn't named me yet, but we'll find out later, I guess.
Show Dave that New York Times article. This is in the New York Times. That'll keep you busy for a while.
Especially if my mic is back.
Empire Electric, Golden Garage. First Community
Then
Bank.
flip it over.
IMAX, LNJ Money Supply, Ollie's located in North Bremen, Lloyd's Electric Supply Incorporated in the Lighthouse Gallery, and McDonald's and Rams in the Hollister, along with Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
This is Danny Miles.
Guess so. Who's helping Don the next game?
What's that?
Who's helping Don the next game?
I've stuck, I mean, David is getting the privilege of doing it.
Attaboy.
That's the case. I better take it to homework. Yeah. Keep that around. I want to read it. Yeah. You got
It
it.
should be done by about 4 o'clock or so, but that's kind of what I got to guess.
Yeah, I think your first game stays up there at 6. How long did it take you to get to Willard?
55 minutes. I can do in 7 notes. Whatever. What was that music?
Taco Bell Ozark.
Name that tune. That's it. I can do that in 4 notes. Softball Sunday unless it's raining.
Game notes are in my email.
That's good.
May go ahead and print them here.
Softball, what? We got Sunday.
TV softball versus Iowa State, Missouri State.
If you print them, you can print them off the printers here. You can print me a copy. We'll let Scott buy. We'll let the NAIA buy the ink.
Yeah, they're rolling in my
They're rolling in it. Garland, it's good to see you again. Always see you here. I do the broadcast for the NAIA. It's always good to see you. You do a good job. Huh? Short-term memory. You memorize it, and then when the game's over, you just forget it. Just start all over again. Yeah. Who gets that one? Mike McClure along with Scott McCauley, we welcome you back to Al Waller Family Court, the Keeter Athletic Complex on the campus of College of the Ozarks in Point Lookout, Missouri, for the 13th year side of the NAIA Men's Division II National Basketball Tournament. First round action, the number 2 seed Oregon Tech Hustling Owls leading the Lourdes University Gray Wolves at the break 29-21. And the leading scorer for Oregon Tech was David Clark with 8 points. Jason Gamlin right behind with 7. And for the Gray Wolves, it was Corey Harvey and Marcus Outlaw with 6 points apiece. Scott, we documented the 3-point numbers. Oregon Tech 5 for 14. Lourdes 0 for 5. Lourdes has only made 101 threes and 319 attempts, 32%. So, 32 games, they're only going to average about 3 made threes per game.
Yeah,
so
it's just not a big part of their
No.
offense, obviously. And, I guess they emphasize what they emphasize is more what they can do down low. And with some of the size they got there, you can understand why.
So underway in the second half, Oregon Tech working it inside. Shot missed by Gamlin. Tries to get his own rebound back, and it's off the right shoulder of Gamlin out of bounds, and the basketball goes to the Gray Wolves.
Now remember, Oregon Tech jumped out to a 12-point lead, and Lourdes ended up scoring the last 4 points of the first half. Now Oregon Tech turns it over, and here's Lourdes, a very critical first 2 minutes of the second half as they try to claw back into the ball game.
At the point, Remy Florima. Jumper by Wilhite won't go. Rebounded by Alex Zerbach. Zerbach, 6'5" junior from Covington, Washington. Here's David Clark, deep three in the air, won't go. Rebounded by Scotty Riddle. Clark hit a couple of threes in the first half en route to his team high 8 points. Jordan Kiley with a screen set by Gamlin, gets it back. Gamlin fires and connects. Gamlin with 9. Oregon Tech by 10, 31-21 early second half. Here's Elvin Butler. Crossover, gets away from Riddle, drives, whistle, travel.
Starting that move just a little too far away from the basket to be able to execute. I mean, the ideal is right, but you see, when you see a travel call on that particular call, it's when they try that move to the basket too far out, and you either dribble it and turn it over, or you take the extra step on your travel, so you turn it over anyway.
Clark pressured, gives it up to Zerbach, right back to Clark. A little crowded in the paint. Gamlin fires the three. Rebound tipped out by Zerbach. Out to David Clark. I'm still not a big fan of tip outs. I say if you want to get the rebound, just go up and grab it. You can get a hand on it, you go get it. Here's
Coach McClure.
That's right. Here's Kiley. Scotty Riddle. Low post Gamlin. Shot over Outlaw, won't go, and rebounded by Corey Harvey.
I'm just glad I don't disagree with you. I'd be running wind sprints right now.
You're right.
And that would not take long.
Here's Florima. Just 2 points on a 6-point per game average. Swinging on the left side to Wilhite. Here's a foul in the low post. They're going to get Marcus Outlaw for his second personal foul.
You know, we touched on it a little bit, but you might explain to the folks what we were talking about in the previous game about how St. Francis pulled that game out against Jamestown. What did they pull out?
Well, they were down, was it one?
They were down one.
At the opposite end of their basket, had to go the length of the floor, and had obviously the man throwing it inbounds. Another teammate literally setting a screen, and the defending team, if you will, ran into the screen, and that is a foul.
Yeah.
There's a nice shot for 33 for Oregon Tech, Zerbach. He's got 4. At the other end for the Gray Wolves, bank shot is good for Marcus Outlaw. Outlaw with 8. Scott, as you said, you don't see that very often because coaches, they work on that in offense and defense. You're warned to keep your eyes up because it's not used very often and normally not for a lot of success, but that play was ran perfectly at the end of the game by St. Francis.
You think it, yeah, it was. I mean, I just sat there, I was sitting there watching it, and I know I heard Don and Dave call it on the internet, and they were just both saying the same. It was just a brilliant move because what do you have to lose? You know,
right.
In that particular, because the chances are equally as good you're going to get that call as you're going to make a shot from half court with 3 seconds to go.
A drive and the layup good for Wilhite for the and one. And honestly, the contact's got to be pretty severe because, let's face it, the officials really would rather not have to call that at the end of the game. I mean, they want to pretty much let the kids decide it, but a foul is a foul, and there was clearly contact. You'll see a lot of flops sometimes, but there was contact on that
I'll
one.
be honest with you, as I looked around the arena, and of course I know the Jamestown people were not happy that that's how it came down. I didn't hear many people argue the call. I thought it was absolutely the right call because it was. That's one of those you had to call, but I'll be honest with you. I got to give Chandler Cross for even thinking of that because most of the time you're, eyeing something up, and I'm sure they probably had a second option off of that had that not worked, but they didn't need it.
So free throw good to complete the 3-point play by Wilhite. That foul on Zerbach, his first. At the other end, tough shot, good for Scotty Riddle. Riddle with 7. Oregon Tech by 9, 35-26. We've played almost 4 minutes into the second half. Deep 3, Harvey won't go. Rebounded by Kyle Gomez. Quickly to the other end of the floor, Hunter hits the deck, and a foul looked like from behind on the Gray Wolves. We'll see. They will call it on Elvin Butler, his second. And Bobby Hunter at the free throw line got in foul trouble, had to sit down with 3 personal fouls in the first half. So far for Hunter, only 2 points on a 20-point per game average.
And yet his team leads by 9.
Yeah.
Oregon Tech, as we mentioned, the number 2 seed in the tournament, number 2 team in the country. And in fact, they and Northwood basically bounced back and forth for the last month and a half of the year as the number 1 team in the country. Northwood would be up there, then they might get upset, so Oregon Tech would advance, but Northwood would just drop to 2. Then Oregon Tech might get upset, and Northwood would bounce right back, and Northwood ended up having the number 1 rank at the end of the year. They won, both teams won their conference tournaments, but Northwood maintained the number 1 ranking, and Oregon Tech right behind them at number 2.
Bobby Hunter, a 73% free throw shooter, got the first, missed the second, and what was an 8-point halftime lead is now 10, 36-26. Hustling Owls inside, tough shot won't go for Butler. Rebounded by Bryant Sentman. Quickly in front court, David Clark. 15 and a half to play here in the second half. Oregon Tech by 10, 36-26, the lead in the ball. Right wing, Hunter, guarded by Butler, to the baseline, kicks it to the foul line. Gamlin left the 15-footer short and rebounded by Elvin Butler. Gray Wolves looking for some offense. Wilhite with a start. Hunter, well, they'll leave him open. He'll answer with an uncontested 3.
Generally, as a habit, you do not leave any player that has an Oregon Tech uniform open from 3-point range, because I have seen very few players come through the Oregon Tech program that could not hit a 3.
11-point lead. Inside, the short jumper good for Corey Harvey.
But you go back the other way, Lourdes is not backing down. They keep answering, so they're not exactly getting run out of the gym here. They're keeping within range. They just need to get a few stops. But, you know, credit to them to how hard they're playing. And quite frankly, they're not intimidated by the situation. I've not got that sense from the opening of the game.
Backdoor pass layup good for Bobby Hunter. Gray Wolves got to within 2 with about 4 minutes to go in the first half at 19-17. Then Oregon Tech went on a strong run to lead by 8 at halftime, and now a 30-second timeout called with 14:06 to play in the basketball game. The number 2 seed Oregon Tech Hustlin' Owls from Klamath Falls, Oregon, leading the Lourdes University Gray Wolves out of Sylvania, Ohio by 11, 41-30. The winner will play either Warner, Florida, or Indiana East at 1:45.
That's right, and then the evening
Friday at 1:45. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that'll be the next game here, the last game. It was scheduled to start at 1:45. We'll probably start sometime before 10 tonight. The other games of the day, it's just the way it's been going. Other games of the day, and we will give you the official start time. In all seriousness, we do have a break after the last game, so we'll have a few minutes to catch up. The number 3 seed, who we've already talked about, Davenport, the winners of the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference. Davenport will take on William Penn. That'll be a 4 o'clock tip-off. And then at 5:45 Central Standard Time, it'll be number 14 Indiana Southeast against St. Mary out of Kansas. At 7:30, Grace, the number 11 seed, will take on Briarcliff from Iowa. And then Cardinal Stritch, the number 6 seed from Wisconsin, will take on Eastern Oregon, also of the Cascade Conference, which boasts Oregon Tech at 9:15. As we mentioned, the Cascade already has 2 winners that'll be playing tomorrow. That's Warner Pacific and Northwest. And a little bit later on, we'll go ahead and set up what we already know about tomorrow's matchups. And we've got some interesting, I think some very good matchups on the slate already for tomorrow.
14:06 to play in this one. Oregon Tech up 41-30. Gray Wolves with the basketball. Here's Jake Dupree, guarded by David Clark. Top of the circle, Wilhite. Desamore back in. Wilhite with the drive, and the shot is good.
Well, that's about his longest possession by one player. I mean, he wasn't guarded, so he couldn't get the 5 count. He just held it out there until he had the opening, slid in for the basket, and it's cut the lead to 9.
Good balance scoring for the Gray Wolves. Wilhite 9, Harvey and Outlaw 8 apiece. Deep 3, that's up and in. Kyle Gomez, now 67 threes on the season. He's hit a pair today. Now 12-point lead, biggest of the afternoon. Jake Dupree in the low post, nice spin move. The shot off the glass will go for the and one as Cassed Desamore with a nice move inside.
Boy, and again, here it goes again. You know, when Oregon Tech hits a big 3, goes up 12, and then here's Lourdes getting a possible old-fashioned 3-point play to cut it right back to 9. So it's just the thing is, for Oregon Tech, you got to feel good that you're maintaining your distance, but not feel so good that you're not gaining more ground.
Yeah.
And for Lourdes, you got to feel good that you're maintaining your distance, but you can't feel too good. You can't dent it. You can't seem to get on that 9 or 8 margin. So we're just to be honest, use the chest term, we're kind of in a stalemate right now. But that favors Oregon Tech because of the team in front.
Desamore, just a 52% free throw shooter, got the free throw to complete the 3-point play. 44-35, 9-point lead in the ball for the Hustlin' Owls. Give and go, Gomez in the paint. Again, the long rebound, tipped out to Gamlin. Deep three, Hunter, little short. Kenny Smith leading the break the other way. Hunter poked it away, and then a little frustration foul.
To be honest with you, I was kind of screened out, but I think what they called him for the push. After he lost the ball, he pushed away, maybe trying to get it back. The crowd was in front of me when it went by, so I really didn't see it. But
it was on, Kenny Smith, who just checked out of the game, his first. Yeah, that's exactly what happened, Scott. He got frustrated. The ball got nearly poked away by Hunter, and he kind of shoved off. Good call by the officials. Here is Kiley off to Gomez. Critical part of the basketball game here for Lourdes University, because Oregon Tech looks like they're ready to step on the gas pedal and put it into another gear. Down low, Riddle. Rebound to Dupree. All the way to the basket. Nice little pump fake. Shot up, won't go for Harvey. And look out, big collision over on the Lourdes bench as 2 players went after that loose ball. Hope everyone's okay. Corey Harvey getting up for the Gray Wolves. I think that's Bobby Hunter that went into that Lourdes bench as well. Looks like everybody's okay.
Not sure about the chairs.
I knew that was coming. Marcus Outlaw
in.
in.
Way too long if you could predict that line was coming. Oh. Yeah, that line's as old as that play that St. Francis ran in the last game. Yeah.
You think Dr. Naismith wrote that one up when he invented the game?
Probably did.
Here's Harvey. Rainbow pass right side Dupree. Low post Butler stripped of the basketball, tried to get it back, but it's going to go out of bounds off his leg, and the turnover back to the Oregon Tech Hustlin' Owls.
I think he was actually trying to throw it out of bounds off a leg, and he successfully did so. The only problem is it was his own leg, as he couldn't get it around it. And so Oregon Tech gets the basketball back.
We've played 8 minutes here in the second half. Oregon Tech up 44-35, 9-point lead. They led by 8 at halftime, 29-21, trying to advance to the second round. And again, in first-round games in this tournament, as Danny Miles wants a timeout, the Hustlin' Owls are 13-0 in first-round games.
So when they threw the ball at the basket going into the timeout, it got stuck there at the rim. So 11:39 to go here in the second half, 44-35. Oregon Tech with the lead over Lourdes University. We said we would do it, and we will now give you some of the matchups we already have set up for the second round tomorrow. We will start out bright and early at 8:30 tomorrow, or 10 minutes after the last game ends tonight, as Warner Pacific, one of the unseeded teams that won out of the Cascade Conference, they will take on number 4 Dort at 8:30. At 10:15, a matchup of 2 teams that survived their games yesterday. McPherson survived that wild overtime over Dakota State. St. Thomas had to survive the number 12 seed. McPherson, the 5 seed, St. Thomas, the 12 seed, survived Indiana Tech, but that'll be McPherson, St. Thomas at 10:15. 12 noon matchup has been set up by games earlier today, Bellevue and St. Francis. And then the 145 game, actually the 145 game is not determined, but the 545 game tomorrow has been, as Northwood, the number 1 seed, will take on one of the other upset winners, Marion out of Indiana.
Well, nice ball fake by Kyle Gomez, drawing his defender into the air. Got fouled by Corey Harvey, and we'll get 3 free throw attempts.
That almost, I think, over the years since the three-point goal has been instituted, I think what I've seen more than anything is the most deflating look on coaches when their player has been called for a foul on a shooter shooting a 3, and then they step to the line and knock 3 down. That's just like, it's just like putting a big old needle in the balloon and just letting all the air out.
Well, he got 2 out of 3. Loose ball on the floor as Gamlin tries to come up with it. Foul called by referee Rick Fields.
We're going to get Gamlin, I think, for the foul, his second on the loose ball.
the second on Jason Gamblin. And again, wholesale subs for both teams. We see Josh Johnson, the 6'7" freshman from Perth, Australia, in for Jason Gamblin. On the floor right now for the Hustle Owls, we see Hunter, Zerbach, Kiley, and then down low, Riddle and Johnson. We'll give you the 5 on the floor for Lourdes University. Dupree, Butler, Outlaw, Wilhite. And with the basketball, Harvey dumps it down low to Outlaw. Shot is good. Outlaw in double figures with 10 on an 8-point per game average. Again, a 9-point lead, 46-37 with 11 minutes and change to play here in the second half. Riddle, left wing, Johnson. Bounces out. And there's a play where the tip out didn't work. It's Gray Wolves with the basketball. The layup good for Elvin Butler.
Set up by the fact he faked the pass over to the lane and just decided to keep it. The defender had committed to the pass, left him open for the layup.
So the lead is 7 for the Hustlin' Owls, 46-39. Hunter got it back. Foul line jumper, nothing but net. Back to a 9-point lead, 48-39. Gray Wolves down with the ball as we near the halfway point of the second half. Remy Florimi getting set to check in. Remy Florima, excuse me, this is 5'8" junior from Coconut Creek, Florida. Here's a whistle right after the takeaway. Let's see what Rick Fields has on this one. Bobby Hunter will pick up his 4th personal foul, so he will check out. David Clark back in.
Still lasted 10 minutes, though, the second half without that 4th foul being called, and that one was very close because it looked like he was pretty close to a clean steal, but they said he got just enough contact to draw the foul.
Talked a lot about Bobby Hunter. Kyle Gomez was first team all-conference in the Cascade Collegiate Conference this year. Left wing, Butler can't hit. Rebounded by David Clark. Chased down in the corner and back out to Cassette Desimore. Desimore free throw line Johnson, and a timeout, full timeout here by Danny Miles. Good timeout. 9:27 to go. Oregon Tech up 9, 48-39, trying to advance to round 2 tomorrow at 1:45 p.m. to play again either Warner, Florida or Indiana East.
You know, that's the other thing about Coach Miles is it seems like he will, whatever the situation is, he will not hesitate to take a timeout. And, you know, a lot of times there are formula times that coaches takes timeout, but like that there, he just recognized his team was a little confused and realizes that we're in a critical point of the ball game. 48-39, his team's up 9, and every possession valuable. He had the timeout, so he uses it.
Scott, a big thanks to all the volunteers who make this tournament so special every year. There are hundreds, literally hundreds of people who help out with this tournament. Obviously, Al Waller, a big key to the success of this tournament, athletic director here at C of O, but it takes a lot of people. It can't get done without the support of the people. And just wanted to say thanks to all the volunteers.
Oh yeah, well, I tell you what, they do a great job, and you know, this tournament has been here 13 years, and there's a lot of people that have volunteered here every year. And there are a lot of people here, I see them about here every year, you know, and these are people that are in the community that are around, and there's just so many programs that have come out of this tournament. You know, you and Don both talk about the kids that come in during the day sessions, which really livens up things. And it's just a special tournament, and those volunteers, but those volunteers work very, very hard, and a lot of them work very, very long hours, too.
So again, tip of the hat to all the volunteers that work the national tournament here at College of the Ozarks. And we'll thank them here at the end of the game, but to all our camera people, everybody, the production to help us out with the video here on NAIA.org, their support and work as well. Here's Scotty Riddle with a bank shot. He's got 9, and again, Oregon Tech ready to take it to another level, up 11, 50-39 with 9 minutes to play. Crunch time for the Gray Wolves in their first national tournament appearance. John Wilhite to the glass, left it short. Out of bounds to Oregon Tech. Full court press by Lourdes. Kiley, pressured in backcourt by Elvin Butler. Kiley avoids the double team, bounces it to Jason Gamblin. He'll leave it for Kyle Gomez. Left wing David Clark tried to force the pass inside. It's stolen by Corey Harvey. Butler down low Desimore. Nice move on the baseline. Goes up for the shot and is fouled. A quick check of the numbers. Oregon Tech from the field, 20 for 49, 41%. Lourdes, 17 for 34, 50%. But from three, Lourdes 0 for 8. Oregon Tech 7 for 19, 37%. A huge differential there.
Well, and there's your difference in the game, basically, Mike. I mean, that's your difference right there.
First free throw, no good for Desimore. Here is Jake Dupree in for Elvin Butler. And Marcus Outlaw will check in for the shooter. If Desimore can make the free throw, and they have struggled from the free throw line today. Lourdes 5 for 11. And he missed them both. And look out. Far side of the court, out of bounds. Oregon Tech trying to save it back in. Now Outlaw will be allowed to check back in, replace Desimore. .8:21 to play in the ball game. Oregon Tech up 50 to 39. Give and go, pass stolen by Kyle Gomez. Trap here by the Gray Wolves, but successfully maneuvered here by Oregon Tech. Kyle Gomez all the way underneath the basket, flings it out to Kiley. Riddle drives the right lane, stripped of the basketball. Good hustle by Remy Florima to knock it out of bounds. Inbounded by Kiley. Shot clock at 8. Clark lost it, taken away by Lourdes. They've got numbers. Drive and a basket for John Wilhite. Wilhite with 11, 9 here in the second half. Lourdes still down 9, 50 to 41 with 7.5 to play. If by the 5-minute mark they can get that to about a 5-point differential,
Game
we'll
on
have a
then.
game.
Oh, yeah.
But Oregon Tech has seemed to have an answer for every run so far by the Gray Wolves.
And right here, but now they're going to turn the ball over. So now this is a big possession for Lourdes right here, as they had it down to 7 a few moments ago, but Oregon Tech was able to get a couple in a row and get it back to 11. So now they need to continue to work on this and continue to drop that deficit down further.
Well, Danny Miles will bring Bobby Hunter in off the bench with his 4 personal fouls. He realizes right now how critical this next few minute stretch is. Bryant Sentman also checks back in for Oregon Tech. Left baseline, Wilhite off to Dupree, down the lane, forces it up, missed it. Tip attempt no good by Harvey. Ball out of bounds to the Hustlin' Owls.
Well, with a team with a lot of depth, you can't afford to do that a little bit, but, usually on that situation, when you see them bring them back in, they almost bring them back in when they're on offense, because at least then you got, your one possession, not saying that you can't do a player control foul or something like that, but that is at least minimizing of the situation, but bring them in defense, but it worked out so far, and Oregon Tech got a turnover.
7 minutes to play in the ball game. Hustlin' Owls 9-point lead in the ball, 50 to 41. Here is Bobby Hunter playing with 4 personal fouls. To Sentman. Jordan Kiley on the baseline. Sentman, pull up J is good. Sentman with 4. (52-41) Owls, 6:20 to go. Near steal by Hunter. Dupree off to Wilhite. Down low, Harvey. Fade away from the baseline, won't go, and Gomez with the rebound quickly headed the other way. Kiley, low post, Johnson, missed it. Tip attempt, good. Wow, coming from the right lane was Bryant Sentman.
here's your next Oregon Tech surge as they now built the lead to 14, or 13 we should say, with exactly 6 minutes left. 54-41 is the score, and they get that 13-point lead on a rebound. Quite frankly, it looked like Lourdes was all over it, was going to get it, and somehow Oregon Tech got the hand in there they needed. They tipped it up and were able to get the shot in. And that's a big one right there, as that now gets Oregon Tech that 13-point cushion.
Well, that tip in, as we mentioned, by your 2011 NAIA decathlon champion. Think about that.
That was just a shot put for him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, 6 minutes to play, exactly. And again, the ball game coming up next, number 15 seed, Warden, Florida, against Indiana East. Don West will have the call of that here on NAIA.org. Scott mentioned a little bit of a break before the evening session starts at 4 with number 3 seed Davenport, Michigan, taking on William Penn from Iowa. I'll have the call at 5:45. St. Mary from Leavenworth, Kansas, taking on Indiana Southeast. Indiana Southeast, the 14 seed. And then the 2 late games, Grace, Indiana, the 11 seed, against Briarcliff, Iowa. And at 9:15 tonight, Eastern Oregon against Cardinal Stritch from Wisconsin.
And then we go to what sometimes, although it's going to be hard pressed to tell by some of the good games we've had in the first 2 rounds, but sometimes that second round of games on the third day tournament has some of your best games.
Forcing the pass inside, intended for Outlaw. Ill-advised there by Florima and taken away by Oregon Tech. 5 team fouls committed by the Owls, 4 team fouls committed by the Gray Wolves. Next possession arrow will favor Lourdes University. Oregon Tech beginning to spread the floor, use a little more of the shot clock. Bobby Hunter with his 4 fouls, over to Kyle Gomez. On the right side, Clark. And now pass taken away, Florima to the other end. Blocked off the glass by Clark and taken away by the Owls.
And yet, in Lourdes, only had 2 that went down on the fast break. 3 of them stayed back, so there was no rebounding help once that ball came out long.
Great hustle by David Clark for the rejection. Hunter. Guarded by Dupree. Down the lane. And a travel. Turnover gives it back to the Gray Wolves with Corey Harvey checking back in.
Now we've been about a minute at this 13-point deficit. Again, we're kind of at that same stalemate. Oregon Tech not able to extend the lead. Lourdes has not been able to cut into the lead.
Still time for the Gray Wolves. Will Height airballs a 3, offensive rebound Outlaw, and a foul underneath, called by official Kyle Smith. Brian Setman, his 4th, so he and Hunter 4 apiece. Well, can the Gray Wolves make some free throws? Just 5 for 13 today. Now make it 5 for 14. That will not win you any games in a national tournament.
Not many games elsewhere either. Lourdes University from the line this year, respectable 71%. I mean, not great, but certainly very respectable, and it's not any different than a lot of the averages we've seen in the tournament. Boy, they've struggled today.
Got the second. Deficit is 12 for the Gray Wolves, 54-42 with 4.5 to go. Timeout. Oregon Tech. Full timeout. And we'll kind of look at the numbers here with 4:33 to play. Oregon Tech up by 12, 54-42. Hustle now shooting 42% from the field. 22 for 52. Lourdes 46% on 18 of 39, but the 3-point shots we talk about, Oregon Tech 7 for 19, 37%. Lourdes 0 for 9 from beyond the arc. From the free throw line, the Owls 3 out of 5, 60%. Lourdes now 6 for 15 for 40%. Rebounding numbers favor the Hustlin' Owls, 27-23, including a 10-4 advantage on the offensive glass. 8 turnovers by the Hustlin' Owls, 13 turnovers committed by the Gray Wolves. And no points off turnovers, a 13-4 advantage for Oregon Tech.
Boy, those offensive rebounds are a big number right there. What was that margin again you mentioned?
The rebounding? Offensive rebounds 10-4.
Yeah, well, 10 offensive rebounds is good, is a high number.
Yeah.
really is, and that speaks volumes right there.
Scoring for Lourdes, Wilhite and Outlaw both with 11. And Hunter leading a very balanced attack with 10. Here's a backdoor bucket for Josh Johnson, the 6'7" freshman from Perth, Australia, with his first 2. But officials timeout. Bobby Hunter did not see what happened to him after the basket. But he is headed to the bench.
Tell you what, though, the Lourdes coaches aren't very happy about that. They had a break at the other end, and I don't know if maybe they thought they had a safety issue or something down there, but usually don't see that until after the ball comes back the other way.
Well, he's got, he being Hunter, has a holding up a towel or something over his left eye, so might have some blood to work on. Here's a leaner, won't go for Wilhite. Got it back off the deflection and scores. Wilhite with 13. A 12-point lead with 4 minutes to go. Look out, turnover right in front of us as the pass mishandled by Josh Johnson.
Something you don't really see, or you rarely see with the Northern Tech Club, and the fact that he just basically threw the ball up for grabs, just trying to get out of the backcourt as Lourdes threw on a full court press, and that time Oregon Tech didn't have the answer. Now here's another one of those situations, Mike. Lourdes has got the lead down to 12. Big possession here for the Gray Wolves.
And the shot won't go for Wilhite, rebounded by Gamblin. He and Riddle had just checked back in during the last dead ball. In backcourt, it's Clark, pressured by Florima. Across the timeline, Kyle Gomez, 3.5 minutes to play. Again, you'll see Oregon Tech each possession begin to use a little bit more of that shot clock. 12-point lead in the ball. Kind of a low-scoring game, 56-44 with 3:20 to play. Gomez stops and pops. And an intentional foul has been called. Scott, I saw an elbow come out. If it's on Butler, Gomez was the one that received the elbow.
You know, and again, I was kind of screening. I saw him go down, but I didn't see why he went down. But he went down hard, and an elbow would certainly explain that.
They may go look at the monitor. They will. Just
Right, now,
want to double check.
What is the rule on this? And
Well, you have the flagrant 1 and the flagrant 2 fouls now, at least at the NCAA level. I assume it's the same at the NAIA level.
assuming that that a flagrant 2 probably is an ejection foul, wouldn't it not be?
Yeah, well,
We got the TV monitor down there, and what happened is it was going up for a shot, and then it was a follow-up on the shot. I'll be honest with you, when he initially went up, I thought he had done, because what a lot of times when a shooter feels contact, he'll just go to the ground. And that's what I first thought that was happening. But then after I heard how hard he hit, I'm going, there's almost no way you could, I'm going to say you could replicate that
Right,
and get
right.
that much contact without having been held down. So they looked at the replay once, but it happened so fast, and they didn't have a good look at it. We'll have to try it again to see if they can figure out if they have it or not. They're waiting for a second replay, which hasn't happened yet.
Scott, while they are looking at that, the official supervisor, Pete Hansen, want to congratulate him on his Hall of Fame citation, the numerous years NAIA World Series supervisor of umpires in Lewiston, Idaho. He is in the NAIA Division II Men's Basketball Championship Director of Officials on site here at College of the Ozarks. Serves as a Great Plains Athletic Conference Supervisor of Football Officials, has served in the past as the conference assigner of baseball umpires. He has such a high standard of professional conduct, promoting the core values of the NAIA. Great guy. I enjoy visiting with him every year, and he and the officials work their tails off during this tournament.
Yeah, he's also got an unofficial partner down there. I see Dave Bacon hanging in. Dave does, of course, does a lot of our games here on NAIA.org, and
Dave never met a stranger.
that's true. In fact, he and Don West will have the next game coming up here, which is going to be the last game of the day session, which will feature Warner making a return to the NAIA tournament, formerly Warner Southern taking on Indiana East, and that game will not start at 1:45 since it's 2 o'clock Central Standard Time.
So the intentional foul, 2 free throws in the ball, the third personal on Elvin Butler. Here, the first free throw good for Kyle Gomez.
Well, that becomes big, Mike, because now with the second free throw going in, that gets the lead back to 14. But then Oregon Tech will get the ball. Now, what the question was is we felt maybe they were going to get some free throws out of this again, but no, they're not.
No.
And what it's going to be is, since it was a missed shot and Lourdes had the ball, I guess.
Correct. Let's see. Danny Miles asking Merlin Nice the same question.
Oh, it's a flagrant foul. That's a different thing.
Like I said, the F1 and F2, yeah.
Well, there's a difference, though. A flagrant foul doesn't necessarily have to be an intentional foul, and that's what they called. They called a flagrant foul.
Right.
So what that means is that it's just possession goes back to Lourdes, who had it before.
Right. So the foul was on Elvin Butler of Lourdes, his third. The free throws were shot by Oregon Tech after the flagrant foul, if you will.
Right, and I guess what that must have meant is that must have meant it wasn't a shooting foul, because then they would have got more. Yeah, I would think, but.
You're right. Lourdes ball with 3 minutes to go, down 14. Wilhite tries to bank it in. Gamlin with the rebound. And Hunter, who's got, you see the little Band-Aid right above his left eye as he runs right in front of us. He went to the bench earlier, and we mentioned had that towel above his left side of his face, so almost looks as if they maybe stitched him up a little bit, but got the blood stop. That's the good sign. But
and he's back in.
He's definitely got a cut above the left eye. Down the lane, Riddle for a foul.
Only the 16th foul. They had one more foul to give, so they have now given it. The only thing about giving the foul at that point is you had the shot clock down about 10, and yeah, everyone getting a little confused here, thinking they were going for free throws. That's just a 16 foul, though. You got to still get 7, but the problem is now you give Oregon Tech a new shot clock. You know, that's almost a foul if you're going to go ahead and give that. I'm going to got to give that a little bit earlier in the possession.
Clark called for the travel.
Specifically because he was trying to draw contact inside.
So 2:22 to go. It's the point in the game where the Gray Wolves need to score on literally every possession. Dupree, Wilhite, back to Dupree, left baseline for 3, that's good. First 3 of the game for the Gray Wolves. Dupree with 3. They were 0 for 9 from three-point range as a team before that bucket by Dupree. Under 2 minutes to go. 11-point lead, 58-47. Gamlin avoiding trouble, finds Gomez. Boy, if you're Lourdes, how patient can you be down 11, shot clock at 10?
I like this strategy here, though, even if it doesn't end up working out for him, and it may not as this shot goes up, but it's missed. I'll tell you why here in just a second.
Harvey behind the back, 90 seconds to play. Wilhite with the rebound tipped out to Clark.
Well, that was a good strategy, I thought, by Lourdes, is because they had the time and they had the ability to foul. Now they're going to get a turnover.
Dupree with a steal. Here's a kicked ball by Bobby Hunter.
But the whole point was what they were doing is they were pressuring the ball, but they weren't really in foul mode, so they made Oregon Tech pass the ball around and keep it going. But you were really, with that many possessions down, Mike, you were really on your last possession you could do that. Had that not worked, then they were going to have to start fouling.
Here's a 3, missed for J.D. Parker. Butler will get the rebound and put back. He's got 7 points and a timeout with 1:01 to go. And there may not be enough time here for the Gray Wolves with 61 seconds to play and a hustling out lead of 58-49.
But they have got the lead down to 9 as they've scored 5 in a row now. So what they have done at the very least is put a little pressure on Oregon Tech here. And Mike, I think, you know, I'm personally, as a fan, don't like the foul unless absolutely necessary. And I think even, you know, I see sometimes I'll see coaches, you know, and it's just different philosophies that'll foul earlier, which, you know, I don't think that highly of. But unfortunately, you're 9 points down. You got 61 seconds to go. What you do is you start counting possessions here. You don't have enough possessions left to try for a steal now. Now, I think, you know, maybe a 10-second violation. I think you may still have enough time to do that. But beyond that, then you really have to foul. You're really in that position right now.
Three-point field goals in this game. Oregon Tech 7 for 20, 35%. Lourdes 1 for 11, 9%. That is the difference this afternoon. Off the inbounds, they'll get it to Riddle and a quick foul. We'll walk to the other end of the floor. Scotty Riddle, he's 77% free throw shooter. Wilhite will pick up his first. And Scotty Riddle with 9 points on an 11-point per game average.
Oregon Tech as a team about 75% from the free throw line this
solid.
year. Yeah. So about 75% up, you're really talking in gold range there.
And
did it again. I did that in the first game today, too. Compliment someone on their 80% free throw shooting and proceeded to miss the front end.
David Clark kicked that one into the score table off the.
In fact, I think that's such a foul. Maybe that should be a flagrant foul on announcers when they do that.
Maybe.
I don't know.
The leaner for Dupree won't go. Rebound Gomez. Clock stop, 47 seconds to play, and we'll walk to the other end and shoot more free throws.
Well, I'll tell you what, Oregon or Lourdes got exactly what they needed there, a miss and a chance to really, you know, put some pressure on Oregon Tech, but just a lot of one and outs. You mentioned the offensive rebounding advantage, and of course that certainly carries over on the defensive end as well. That Lourdes just hasn't had that many second chances today.
Front end of the 1-and-1, missed by Gomez.
And then they don't get the rebound, and Oregon Tech's going to get it right back.
Wow.
And I think a great play here, going and throw it in the backcourt.
Sure.
Waste some time. They've got 10 seconds to get it out of the backcourt, and they're going to end up.
The Gray Wolves have decided not to foul.
Yep. And they're going to let the clock run out.
Well, great effort by the youngsters from Sylvania, Ohio, from Lourdes University. Their first ever appearance in the national tournament out of the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference. They were the tournament runner-up, lost to Davenport 52-42. Just their second year of being a program. They take on the number 2 seed and gave Oregon Tech a good battle today, but the Hustlin' Owls will advance to the second round. Low-scoring contest. The Owls will win it by the final of 58-49 over the Lourdes Gray Wolves.
Well, I will say this. I think the Lourdes Gray Wolves made a statement here today. If you can play a team that knows how to play this tournament as well as Oregon Tech and basically go toe-to-toe with them like they did, I guarantee you one thing, Oregon Tech will walk off the court with a healthy respect for them, as well they should. And the effort they put forth and what they're doing with their program certainly is a strong effort, and I don't think that'll be the first time Lourdes will be making a triple-point lookout.
Don't either. Lourdes only got outscored by Oregon Tech 1 point in the second half. Oregon Tech led 29-21 at halftime. The Hustlin' Owls outscored the Gray Wolves by just 1 in the second half. 29-28, but Oregon Tech improves to 30-4 on the year. Another 30-win season for head coach Danny Miles. They were 30-5 last year. The Gray Wolves finish up at 17-16. So Oregon Tech on to round 2 tomorrow at 1:45 to play either number 15 seed Warner, Florida, or Indiana East. Let's take a quick look.